Just relax. We are going to get to this. Calm down. Look, you. I'm not gonna go through it with you today. And you in the back. You know already. Calm the hell down. We are going to get to this. Alright? Just calm down.
Okay. We are in the building. As you can see, it's politics as usual. Wow. Your boy, Juice Wanna. Yes. That old jaw gritty. You know what I mean? We back in the building. I'm actually a little joyful. You know, my last video actually is taking some traction, you know, so I mean without me having to do any slight promotion. I don't really get a lot of traction. So any traction is good traction for me. You know what I mean? Like, shit, 10 people see my video, I'll be stoked. I'll be like, oh yeah, the truth is getting out there. You know, the truth is hard to get out there. So for me, 1, 2 people at a time, I'm believe it or not, and I'm happy. Because my whole life I have been deemed combative, argumentative, right? Wanting to go against everybody, and them not knowing what common is. Common does not mean that you right. It just means that this is this, universal understanding. So, me being a person who's not common, right? I'm above the common man. Not in wealth or stature. Nah. I'm below them in that. Because I'm above them with intelligence, right? Without wanting to play the devil's game. Meaning that the devil is the devil prides himself on his intellect. That's why in Freemasonry you always see them pointing to the book. If you know Freemasons, they always trying to out-talk you, double-talk you, convince you with something that you read, constructive, what they say now, race is a construction, whatever the case. So when you understand that, right, everything that I'm saying is gonna make sense, or it has been making sense, because you understand that Satan, the serpent, right, or we're gonna call that Satan. I mean, went and gave Eve knowledge, the book. But that book and information that he gave was corruptive, right? So we're going to evaluate this whole story, right? We're going to get into Ukraine, Russia, right? And Russia fighting against basically the New World Order. Is this what really taking place right now? Is America, right, and NATO and all of these people right? These countries really working with a Luciferian movement. Let's find out. Give me, had to move my, what's the name over here? Alright, um, let's get into the title first. I got construction, so I'm trying to catch the sound so I won't be disturbing y'all with all of that noise. So if you hear me being quiet, is due to that. Right? The war in Ukraine is a metaphysical battle against a civilization built on gay parades, Russian Orthodox leader says. Right? So I'm gonna try to have this music in the background so we can attempt to, you know, how you say, like, block out some of the noise in the back. I want you to be able to hear it without being so displeased by the noise in the back. So I just want to add a little music. Like, only due to the fact that I really want this information out, and clearly my neighbors is getting real work done. It's been a while now. I figured it would be done by now. You see me take a few days off. I figured, shit, they actually was working on Sunday. so, so I said, okay, hopefully they're cleaning this up on Sunday. Nah, they started breaking it up then. So, this is what I'm up against. This is what I'm still gonna do to bring this information to you. All right. So, for those who don't like the music and the background, I'm sorry that this show ain't for you. Might gotta go somewhere else and go get this information from somewhere else if they bringing it up. So let's get into this. All right. Patrice Kirill, the leader of the Russian Orthodox Church, delivered a sermon Sunday in which he referred to the war in Ukraine as a metaphysical struggle against a godless international order. Right? Now we know the New World Order, the attack on masculinity, the cancel culture, all of that is a part of that movement, right? But like I said, the woke movement is also a communist movement. Keep that in mind as I read what I read to you. Don't act like, okay, join on one side or the other, but just understand what their argument is. This is what they're saying. My history, research, and everything tells me that the woke community is a communist community. right? The woke community promotes the homosexuality and all of these other things. So we're going to get into, remember, like I said in my last show, this setting up a system to go against each other in order to perform chicanery, which is, to move a people for financial, political gain. Right? So as I go through this, I want y'all to always keep in mind of all of this. Don't just take an article or the presentation of even what I'm saying. Right? Russia fight against New World Order. Even that, it could be suggestive. Right? So we're going to get into this. All right. Hold on a minute here. All right. Let's go back over to this article. All right. He argued that the war broke out after 8 years of attempting to destroy what existed in the Donbass because the pro-Russian separatists, Republican embodied of the fundamental rejection of the so-called values, my fault, that are offered. Wait, let me see this. Let me go back again. For some reason, reading it off of this, is not. It's right there. It's simple, but for some reason, it just gives me a problem. Right? He argued that the war broke out after 8 years of attempts to destroy what exists in the Donbass. I don't know what that is, right? Because the pro-Russian separatists, Republican embodied a fundamental rejection of the so-called values that are offered today by those who claim world power. Krill did not mention that a majority of Ukrainians are also Orthodox. Right? So, we bring the religious aspect into it. Now, I was telling y'all, the Jews have a major hand in this war. I told you the NSO is basically on trial right now for spying on not only Israeli citizens and American citizens, but citizens all around the world, right? So then you put all of this into play, and now we have somebody, I said this before, so here goes somebody within the circle bringing in the religious aspect, the New World Order aspect that I've been saying the whole time. Now you got them on the inside, but keep in mind about chicanery. Right? I never let anybody join in if they are not going to oust it all. Because if you're not ousting it all, that means you're playing the game yourself. Right? So that's why I'm saying, no, I'm not giving, the Russians credence. They're Orthodox or whatever the hell. This is not my fight. Right? My fight is to free the minds of the people so they do not become tools. My job is not to work for the system, that G, government, you know, the rats, the snitches, you know, those who gave up the cheeks and now they want to imply that's what everybody else does. You know what I mean? Like the dude who was gonna go to jail, ratted, right? Gave up the cheeks to the officers, the judge, and all of that, and now to keep his identity, right? He has to, you know, even make it seem like, yeah, jail, these dudes. No, you the bitch. You see, because your promotion is what helped you rap. A lot of you took on, you know, your feminine ways to the point that it took over everything. Right? And so this is what I'm talking about, because they're addressing it too. It's not like they not saying it as well. You know what I mean? Right? As it goes. The world order, Krill said, offers excess consumption and visible freedom to any nation that's holding a gay parade. Kiev, well, whatever you pronounce it, host an annual gay parade. So, if you know anything, especially with the communist movement, right? You can look into China, you can see that they are big on erasing a feminine identity while using that same system to install it within our people. So who's controlling the communist movement? Right? Because we know that Israel is friends with Russia. And we also know that they employ Ukrainians. We know that these are tech people. These are the giants, the tech giants. These are the hackers. Everything that's on the table right now that people are not seeing. The hacker element, the cyber war element, the cryptocurrency element, and now the religious element. Right? I guess I ain't got no leaf on my teeth. All right, so I'm gonna get into the religious element. Like I say, people always will take the person who gives the information as this wanting to be combative, because there's a system set up with just go along with it. Worry about the finances. Worry about getting rich. Worry about Gucci, Fendi, and these. Worry about that. And while you worry about that, we're going to install all of the stuff in you that you should have been concerned about yourself while you was worried about Gucci, Fendi, and those type of things. You know what I mean? Because they also have, you know, the installation of religion and other institutions to be placed inside of you. Whether it's spirituality, religion, I don't care. It's all under the same guise. It's under the same people. So we're going to learn that today. Right? We're going to learn what I'm talking about. All right? Let me just finish this up right here. It goes, in 2015, the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, signs into law a ban on gay propaganda, a term that includes pride parades and exposing minors to information about homosexuality. Gay sex remains decriminalized in Russia. Putin frequently accuses the West of denying moral principles and all traditional identities, while portraying Russia as the guardian of the Christian values that constitute the basis of Western civilization. Now, I already explained to you the whole concept of Jesus in Christianity, right? Julius Caesar in the Julian family, right? So I took the time to explain this to you. You have that information if you took the time. If you didn't, then you're gonna have to go into that because these shits be long. I don't have the time to go and break down, that Julius Caesar is Jesus Christ, or Jesus Christ is actually Julius Caesar, right? So, to uphold these white values and these type of things, right, is what he's talking about. So we're going to get into all of this, right? Only around 6% of Russians attend church regularly. Russia also has the highest abortion rate in the world. Kirill, a strong supporter of Putin, urges his flock on Sunday not to put up with those who promote sin, specifically homosexuality, as an example or as one of its models of human behavior, right? Now, I showed you Ural, right? Hariri, right? The scientist who's making his plan for the world. Right? So, all right, let's get into this. Let me go back over here. All right, pull this back up so we can always follow along. All right. That's an example of model of, okay, Kirill, a strong supporter of Putin urges his flock on Sunday not to put up with those who promote sin, specifically homosexuality, as an example or as one of the models of human behavior. All right? So understand a group of people that's playing the background and everything. Right? Because we're going to get into it. He also said Orthodox Christians who oppose the war are humble, following the path of the power that be shown them. Kirill delivered a sermon on Forgiveness Sunday, a day on which Orthodox Christians prepare for the potential season of Lent and ask forgiveness of one another, approaching your life with a very deep and impartial analysis. And if the Lord helps us to realize our own untruth, then repent of this untruth, he told his flock. Right? So, I want to take some time, before we get into that, I want to take you over to Syrian, pardon me here, Syrian anti-Assad fighters considering joining Ukraine against Russia. All right. Russia looks to recruit Syrians into Ukrainian war. Russia will turn to Syrian mercenaries for its Ukrainian fight. Russia offers $300 to fight in Ukraine. Russia seeks Ukrainian fighters for urban warfare in Ukraine. Right? Russia recruit Syrian soldiers to fight in Ukraine. Just to give you, just some insight on what we are talking about. All right? So once again, we go to this religious war. Now, mind you, Russians also want to be down with the Ukrainians, the Syrians want to be down with the Ukrainians due to the fact that Russia had invaded and did damage to Syria at its time. So, understand the dynamics, right? And so with that, we also get to what I'm about to bring up, right? Let's go into the Bible. Now, once again, I'm going to start off reading you this. 1. And Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain the tiller of the ground. See, I'm wondering, did I miss 4? Because it's okay. Okay, no, I didn't. In the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. So basically he brought, stuff that grew off trees and stuff. He offered that to the Lord, which was the same job that he gave to Adam as a curse. Keep in mind that. And Abel also brought his firstling of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel for his offering. Right? Now, this story is connected to Gilgamesh. Right? Because Gilgamesh is God. So while you're worshiping something in the sky, put it like this. In the beginning, the story is taken off from Gilgamesh. He's not God due to the fact that the rulers, this is a history, so the rulers change through time. So now you follow the people, and they'll come under that name of God. So that's how that works, to understand the tricknology. Right? So why you wouldn't be able to find certain things because it's under a banner of God. So then you would have to locate those people. So say Abraham or Moses, right? Which would be Sargon. So now you located Moses, right? Which is, he told you, I am who I am. So he's telling you that he's God, if you understand what I'm saying. And Abel, he also, no, it goes, but unto Cain in his offering, he had not respect, and Cain was very wroth of his countenance fell, of his contents fell, and his contents fell. Contents fell. Okay. And the Lord said unto Cain, what art thou wroth? Why is thou contents fallen? And if thou does well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou do well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain talked to Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against his brother and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel, thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Right? He had a problem with the keeping of livestock. Remember, he was only a gardener. So now he refers to his fellow brother as a, stock. Is he his keeper? That's what you hear, there's sheep and all of that, right? To take advantage of the people. And he said, right, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in earth. All right, let me highlight this for you. All right. Let's make you blue. All right. Okay. Right? And when thou hadst tilled the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall thou be on the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out of the day from the face of the earth, and from the face shall I be hid. All right? You'll be hid. You won't be able to see. He moves in secret. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. All right. So now, the secret of moving is so dangerous that anyone who finds them is supposed to put them to rest. And the Lord said unto him, therefore, whoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. So now, one cannot even touch Satan. He's protected. He's protected. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him shall kill him. Should kill him. Right? So, we also have this. So now you wondering why God has not destroyed the devil is because he protected him. Right? And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east, right, of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch, and he built the city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. Right? So, we about to get into the devil explained. Right? So right here we got the book of Job. Right? So we're going to just go through this because all of this plays a part, right, on the people, the science of the people, and the science of the world, right? Because the book of Job is actually the oldest book in the Bible, right? In the book of Job is plagiarism from the Epic of Gilgamesh. So, as you are reading the Bible, first understand what is the first book in the Bible. It's the book of Job. Funny how Steve Jobs or Job, Apple, the cloud, right? Think about those things, right? The book of Job. There was a man in the land of Uz, whom name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God. He eschewed evil, and there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels and 500 yokes of oxen and 500 she asses in a very great household. So that this man was the greatest of all men of the East. Would not this also fit kind of the description of King Solomon? Right? Just asking. Putting it out there, you think about that. Right? Because I told you this is plagiarism. Right? And upright and fear God, right? And there were born we got that. All right. In the East. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day. He had 7 sons. Keep that in mind. All right? All right. Everyone in his day. And sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone, about that Job sent and sacrificed them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings, according to the number of them. All for Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continuously. Now there was a day when the sons of God, not Jesus, the only begotten Son. This is the first book written in the Bible. I told you, the Jews turned Gilgamesh into God. So imagine you hearing somebody saying, word to my dead homie. And then they take that dead homie and make it this God. You know, like how you got your auntie and uncle looking over you. The same way they designed that into you, your mama looking over you when she died and all of this. They just took somebody and made this quest out into the world under that ruler's name. So the quest is to dominate and control the world under a double talk, under the guise of God being up there, just like how the Greeks and the Romans did with Julius Caesar. And you see us under this Julian rule. They did the same thing as well. So if you're gonna call out the Jews for the biggest scheme, if you're gonna call out the Christians for their biggest scheme, don't hesitate to call out the Jews. They got you worshiping Gilgamesh, a king and a ruler who went out, who was bloodthirsty and would not stop, because he wanted to rule. So if you don't understand how those stories are the Trojan horse, yeah, those stories are actually the Trojan horse. We'll be back in a second. Right? Let me get into Trojan horse for you real quick here. All right? All right. Trojan horse, a hollow wooden statue of a horse in which the Greeks concealed themselves in order to enter Troy. A person or thing intended secretly to undermine or bring about the downfall of an enemy or opponent. A sham, a fraud, pretense, imposter, hoax, fake, or whatever thing else you want. When you pick up that Bible, you are picking up the Trojan horse. That might be a little too much for you to understand. Let me recite an African poem for you. When they came, we had the land and they had the book. They taught us to pray with our eyes closed. And when we opened them, they had the land and we had the book, the Trojan horse. They capitalized off of your ignorance. I'm here for you to capitalize off of my intelligence. I'ma die broke and penniless. Not a person gonna know me, right? But these words, the information that I provide to you will set you free. Because if you really accept the truth, then you will reject the Trojan horse and understand how you are at war. You're being attacked psychologically. Psychologically. Right? And there was a day when the sons of God came down to present themselves before the Lord. And Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence come thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job? Is there none like him on earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and, evil, inert, evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, And doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath, on every side? On every side. Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is incurring in the land. But put forth thy hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. Right? So, imagine somebody coming along, right, who's saying to you, yeah, that person loves you, but what if you didn't do nothing for them? Right? That goes inside people's minds, right? Wouldn't you, like, if you constantly looking out for somebody, right, wouldn't you wonder, would they ever come through for you? So for me, the story of Job was, a ruler talking to himself, or a person talking to himself and questioning, the people around them. right? That part right there is what I'm saying for that. But pay attention, right? But put forth thy hand now and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. So with that, ask yourself, if you put a certain group into power, right? Can't you take away their power by controlling the situation, the narrative, by playing God? So you could put masculinity in the communist community, right? But put feminism in the so-called independent nations, those who who work off of democracy and so-called things like that, right? So we're taking a look into the term to and fro. Okay, this is where this is all coming from, because in Chronicles 2:16-9, right? For the eyes of the Lord ran up and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose hearts is perfect towards him. Herein thou hast done foolishness, therefore from henceforth thou shalt have wars. To and fro in this context would mean what then? To and fro in all of it would always be associated with a negative, even if it came in through the Lord. Right? So let's move on again. Abraham was called Abraham the Hebrew in Genesis 14:13, which was the first time that the word was used in the Bible. Where did this term come from, and what does it mean? Right? Hebrew, a member of an ancient people living in what is now Israel, Palestine, according to the biblical traditions, descended from the patriarch Jacob, grandson of Abraham, after the Exodus 1300 BC. They established the kingdom of Israel in Judah, and their subscription and traditions from the basis of Jewish religion, Semitic language used by the ancient Hebrews in modern Israel. All right? So let's get into this again more. We stop smoking before I start rambling. The word Hebrew in the Hebrew language is, right? I don't know Hebrew, so the root letters are used to mean cross over or pass through. Today in Israel, we can use the word to talk about moving houses, transgressing laws, right? Going through some difficulties, crossing the road, crossing over a river, and so on. Traversing. Passing, this is the word. Passing or crossing over, essentially. In the Bible, it seems to have primarily referred to those who traveled rivers. The symbolic meaning of this should not be lost in us who love the word of God, right? And it is speculated that Abraham earned the name, or one that has traversed, to be referring to the fact that he came from the other side of the river. He and his family had traveled from close to the river of Euphrates, crossed over into Haran, and then God called him back over the river again to the land which is now known to be Israel. He also had an ancestors with that name, right? Ebed in Genesis 11:14, which might explain the link. But either way, the association between these Hebrews, plural, and the crossing of rivers appears a few times in the Bible. All right? So we're going to go in to traverse. Traverse. To cross or through. He traversed the forest, right? Extend, across, or through. A moving catwalk that traverses a vast, canvas space, right? Cross a hill, a mountain by means of a series of sideways movements from one particularly line of ascent or descent to another. Move something back and forth, sideways. Deny an allegation in pleading. Should I like this for you as well? Huh? Should I? Deny an allegation in pleading. Understand what I'm reading to you. What is to traverse? Right? Let me get one more thing on this subject right here. Hold on a minute. Go out here. I thought I put it in there. We talked about the Trojan horse, right? Did we talk about the Trojan horse? I explained to you what a Trojan horse is, right? Okay, hold on. Going to this real quick. Boom, forgive me real quick. Okay. My fault. Just looking for something real quick. Right? So basically what I'm saying is to understand the devil moving to and fro, right? To move a people to and fro. And if you saw that the devil was in control of this shifting with these words and these laws, this ability to deceive right in front of you, right? To understand what you are up against is really what this is about. You have a system that was set up. You gotta wonder at this point in time, are the Ukrainians being used as the distraction? We see it in other cultures. We know the distraction, right? But people are not looking. We are in a shifting right now. So the clues is there. When you hear the Russians telling you the gay agenda, I showed you Yaval. You know, he's challenging the God theory. Being a Jew, the originator of the theory, and explaining the progress of this takeover. It wasn't him. He didn't come up with it. If you lay everything on the table, first, you came into a land with a Trojan horse, a Bible that you put in there. And y'all went out in a cult fashion. Somebody got in on the hustle. They made part two. Then you had a system that said, nah, we against that system. So the reason why I'm saying that is, this is why Russia can go and attempt to recruit Syrian soldiers off of the premise that this is, the fighting of this progressive, movement in America, is guilty of as well. America has went into many lands promoting this feminist agenda, while under the feminist agenda, which, any man is going to sympathize with. I'm a man, right? I have a grandmother, I have a mother, I have aunts, cousins, right? Sisters, nieces. I ain't got no daughters, but you know what I'm saying? I got goddaughters. Why would I not appeal, or why would the feminist plight and what I'm saying is it would take a very, very cold man, right, to not relate to a woman's plight, especially if it's in an individual or a social setting, and these things are mentioned, right? No man who got to turn around to his wife or his girl or anybody else, right, is not gonna buckle to those talking points. Now all you need is a bit of a buckle. And you start buckling all around the place, right? So it's you use the women's plight because you know that, you know, shit, like he would have to be like the coldest person on the planet, right? Not to relate to her plight. Because he's been around her as a child. He's seen the plight. He can't deny it, right? So in that comes another fight attached to it, just like they attach themselves to the black plight, which is the gay agenda, which is a totally different agenda. Because their agenda is trying to figure out how to continue life without having to really reproduce. So then, non-binary, man, woman, this, it doesn't matter because they can dictate the gene. Oh, you want it to come out like this, you want that. They will be dictating and manufacturing people. You gave them all of the DNA and all of the stuff for it to happen. They went out with a scheme, right? Let me bring this up because a lot of people, they don't understand what they see, right? Pardon me, I ain't got my keyboard right here. Okay, let me go into images real quick. All right. Now, all I simply did was type in Sumerian. I didn't even, you see all of the different selections I can go into. I just simply typed in Sumerian, right? So, I wanted to point out these statues right here. So we're going to go down some more, right? And then you see them right here, right? So, ancient Sumerian, right? So this is, like stuff you can get. I'm just telling you where you can find the pictures at and all of that. You see it right there, right? Ancient Sumerian, right? I like doing that just so you know it's not me, providing this. This is anybody can go get. Just type this in and you can just do what I'm doing, and that way you can have your own proof. Like it's not something I'm dictating, like, I set it up in my internet or, you know what I mean? It's something you could do yourself. You know what I mean? That's the best way to prove it's not me controlling this information. Right? So you type in just Sumerian, right? And you could type in statues and all of that, right? Now with this, you're gonna come to an understanding. Hold on, let me see if I can turn down this music perhaps a little. All right. All right. So I just be trying not to have it too distracting, but I do got, construction and stuff like that happening at the present moment. So, where we at here, right? So, as we look at these statues, right? If we look at these statues, what you are witnessing is a tactic, right? The meek shall inherit the earth. So, like the Peace Corps and all of that, like you got Peace Corps and, all of these different groups, understand the tactic that has been using already. The Pilgrims, the abolitionists, all of these groups. Think about how they came in. The tactic in which they use. That's why they promote the, the cheesing and all of that. Because this is the tactic. You don't believe me? Read the Bible. Read the tactics that was used to free the Jews from the Pharaoh. Read Exodus. Understand the tactics. He gave them the secret, right? So now they knew how to move around within the land, right? And so then they could set up certain things to make it happen. To even take down the Pharaoh. That book is a Trojan horse. Put in everybody's hand. One, to fool them, and for you no longer to question, because you have it too. So it's like, imagine you see people praying to a chair in the middle of the city every day. If you laughing at them praying to the chair without going over there to inspect the chair and also intertwining yourself with the people to understand the wording, the things that they are saying, while reading, books about Freemasonry, see the wording, the tactics, and understand that you were being indoctrinated into that system, but it's not an open system. So they'll give you something when it's beneficial, but when it's not, you closed off from that. And as long as they control the system, you know how it goes. I told you. Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up. My fault. It was in my phone though. Okay. Give me 1 second here. All right. Let's go and okay. All right. Now, yesterday, when I put up the video and it was showing like the spinning thing with Gilgamesh, and I said that's the Cabal. I was trying to get the picture and I wasn't able to get it. For some reason, my damn my computer was giving me a hard time with locating it. But if you see this symbol right here and you go to the video that I put up yesterday, you will see, this is the cabal. So when you seen that whole thing, the transition of all of that, you got to understand what's in front of your face. The technology, right? So let me close this real quick and let's get into the cabal. All right. Let's do the Wikipedia. Just jump right into it, okay? See cabal up on top, right? Method is a eccentric method, discipline, and school of thought in Jewish mysticism. A tradition, Kabbalist and Judaism is called, whatever. The definition of Kabbalah veers according to the tradition and aims of those following it. From its religious origins as an integral part, where we at here, of Judaism to its latter adaptation in the Western, Christian Kabbalah or Hermetic Kabbalah, Jewish Kabbals is set of eccentric teachings meant to explain the relationship between the unchanging eternal God, the mysterious Ensof, the infinity, and the moral finite universe, God's creation. It formed the foundation of mystical religious interpretations within Judaism. Jewish Kabbalah originally developed their own transmission of the sacred texts within the realm of Jewish tradition, and often used classical Jewish scriptures to explain the determination its mystical teachings, right? These teachings are held by followers in Judaism to define the inner meaning of both the Hebrew Bible and traditional rabbinic literature, right? My fault. So, basically, inside of that system, right, is this cult way of moving. And if they can set up a system within a system that you were following, aren't they dictating it all? They are using oral traditions, right, and written traditions. Isn't this the same system as Freemasonry and all that? It's called Freemasonry, but it goes, and it will always go under a different name. This enlightenment, this newfound develop their own transmission of sacred texts. The primary texts of Kabbalah were allegedly once part of an ongoing oral tradition. The written texts are obscure and difficult for readers who are unfamiliar with Jewish spirituality, which assumes extensive knowledge of, so it's double talk. It's the ability of causing confusion. Allegedly, once part of an ongoing oral tradition. In Freemasonry, are you allowed to write down this information? So you don't even understand what you are being indoctrinated into. And by the time you do, you think it's a good thing. Because you found out something, you know, you know what I mean? I just cut you to the chase. So that way you don't have to put yourself in these indoctrinations. Because the indoctrinations is what's controlling the people. That's why in the Quran it warns about those whispering, winking eyes and blowing on knots. It warns you of that. All right? And this is why I say that the Quran, I mean, Islam itself was set up to combat that. Combat all of that type of movement. Blowing on knots in the Quran. Let's see right here so y'all can see. So you can understand that it's, while I read it in front of the Quran, I don't want to be somebody interpretation, so I'm gonna go back out of this. All right. I don't like somebody breaking it down. Like even me, anything that I'm saying, I want you to be able to read it on your own. You know what I mean? That's how I always do. So you can, if it's the word and this word is meant to protect you, then you should know it yourself. It's not for me to dictate a word that can help you. You know what I mean? Okay. Blowing on knots. Literally translates to the blowing of knots. In the context of the surah is clearly reference to the dark occult arts whose existence implied by the Quran and other parts of the Quran too. I don't want to like I said, it's there, but this I don't want somebody else dark days. All right, okay. This is the Quran, right? So each one of, hold on a minute, so you can have an understanding that, no, you can't see it. Okay, each one of these is just a different translation. So as I'm reading, right, as I go down, right, right? So this is just the translation, right? Okay. So it goes from from the evil of all human beings bent on occult endeavors, right? From the evil of those witches casting spells by blowing on to knots, and from women who blow on knots, right? And from the evil, maligent witchcraft, from the mischievous of those who practice secret arts, from the evil of those witches casting spells and blowing on knots. So it's just basically letting you know. So then when you see people like, pardon me here, Prince Johnson, right? So when we pull up people like Prince Johnson out of Liberia, right? We understand what's taking place, right? This is he's alive right now, right? Is a Liberian politician and current senior senator from Nambia country, right? A former rebel leader, Johnson played a prominent role in the first Liberian Civil War, in which he captured, tortured, and executed President Samuel Doe, who he himself overthrew and murdered the previous president, William R. Talbot Jr. All right? Let me get into what happened here. Right? Johnson was born, right, in the country and was brought up by an uncle in the capital. While Maneuver is James Monroe, was named after James Monroe, right? He joined the Liberian National Guard. Boom, 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 boom. In the aftermath of Samuel Doe's 1880 overthrow of the president, he was down with that, right? He rose to rank of lieutenant, receiving military training in both Liberia and in the United States, where he was instructed in military police duties in South Carolina, a STEM often discrimination. He served as and accompanied him into exile in 1983 after accused of plotting a coup against Doe. Right? We're gonna get into why this is important. Okay. Johnson later allied with Charles Taylor as a part of the National Patriot Front of Liberia, serving as the chief training officer. Taylor's fighters crossed the border from the Ivory Coast and began operations in Liberia on Christmas Eve. Right? Formation. In the inter-power struggle, resulting in Johnson breaking off from Taylor's lead and forming despite intervention in a civil war, the economic community of the West African maneuver in the summer of 1990 during the Civil War was notorious for killing anyone who opposed or criticized his actions. When The VDs was debated in the food, starving people maneuver in the midst of the chaos and the Civil War sent him later begging and stop the killing, the peace, killing, okay. On September 9th, right, 1990, Johnson supported, adopted Samuel Doe from, headquarters in Maneuver in Port District. Doe was tortured, executed in Johnson's custody on the 9th of September, and a spectacle videotaped and broadcasted around the world. The video showed Johnson sipping a Budweiser beer and being fanned by his assistants and as his men cut Doe's ears. Johnson later denied killing Doe, right? Assassination in his novel Allah Is Not Obliged. Also accused Johnson of wars and crimes, right? It goes after Doe, Johnson briefly claimed President. You see, they removed it. Somebody went in here and removed the information of Prince Johnson. Right? So let's go into let's see, where's this other guy? Doe. Maybe they're gonna have him in there. But somebody went in here and removed this information. There's vital information inside here, why he did it. Right? It was about Freemasonry. They was eradicating Freemasonry from Liberia, right? And it goes back to the blowing on the knots and all of that. So, what we got, Doe? Let me go to Doe. Samuel Doe. Samuel Doe was a politician who served, when the master sergeant on the Focus. Doe staged a violent coup that left heads of state. During the coup, the President Williams and much true Whig Party were executed. Doe then established the People's Right General. Doe suspended the Constitution and headed the country's military for the next 5 years. He ordered an election, with small controversy as evidence the election was a fraud. Doe had support in the United States and was a tragic alliance due to anti-Soviet stance taken during the year of the Cold War prior to the change of 1980 that led to the of the Soviet Union, right? Like I told you, this is all connected. Don't think I just pull at things that's anti-Soviet Union. The first narrative native head of the state in the country, though, because before that it was basically ran by America through puppets, black puppets, largely rural people. Before the coup, natives had often held marginal roles in society, which was dominated by this America, Liberia. These are these Americans over here who was working with Americans to set that up, freed slaves. This is back in 1847. Though opened Liberian ports to Canada, Chinese, European ships, and brought considerable foreign investments from foreign shipments. Firms, earned in Liberia a tax haven. Though attempted to legalize his regime by passing a constitution. Early life. Third, so where it says, so I got all of this anyway. So I got the information from other places, but I thought I could come right here and just okay. August the true committed Menudo's former Justice Minister change two boom boom. That ain't it. Cause in this he basically breaks down a new government. Minister Samuel in April attacking his forces and killed, right? Support team, 13 members of the cabinet, boom, 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 executed shortly after the coup. But government minister were talked and over and nude, similar to firings. Okay, yeah. The government ministers will walk publicly around Manova in the nude and then sermonly executed by firing squad on the beach, right? The convicted were denied the rights to lawyers or to an appeal. Hundreds of government workers fled the country while others were imprisoned after the coup. Dode assumed rank of general and established a People's Redemption Council, composing himself and 14 other low-ranking officers. No rule to rule the country. In the early days of the regime was marked a mass execution of members of talent. Doe ordered the release of about 50 leaders in the opposition, right, and jailed Talbot during the race riots the previous month, right? So this is how you know this was a setup. I mean, I give Doe credit at first, but you understand why you can't. Shortly after that, Doe ordered the arrest of 94 officers that was for Dream within former members, right, including Brother Frank, were brought to trial to answer charges of high treason, rampant cooperation, and gross violent human rights. Those suspended the Constitution, allowing these trials to be conducted by the commission adapted by the state's new military leader, right? Boom, boom. Doe adopted ended 100 years after of the political domination. Some held the coup, the first time since Liberia established as a country that it was governed by people who of Native American descent instead of Americo-Liberian elite. That's a Freemasonic organization. So one, you have to give him credit by doing that, right? Give him the credit for that, understanding, finding out all of the players, and going in. All of the suspected players, you gather them up, throw them on trial, and the ringleader, he's going on trial, so that way that the world knows what's going on there. It's not like we just did something. This is what's happening, right? So, all right, so this is a blueprint, right? Other persons without Americo-Liberio heritage had held the vice presidency, right, as well as for years prior. Many people welcomed Doe's takeover and the shift favoring the majority of population that had largely been excluded from participation in government since the establishment of the country. You gotta respect this, right? However, the new government led by the leader of the coup and calling itself, the peoples, right, lacked experience and was ill prepared to rule. Though became head of state and suspended the constitution, but promised to return to civil rule in 85. And the first alleged plot against his government, non-military personnel arrested, boom, in 80, cooped in jail. Um, Theories of this, right? Boom, country who constructed, okay, alleged who constructed the 2011 Liberian presidential election alleges American CIA had provided a map, the execute mansions, enabling the rebels to break into it. That it was a white American CIA agent who shot and killed Talbot, and that the Americans were responsible for a Liberian nightmare. However, in the next day before the same TRC, after the former minister Samuel Doe, right, testified that the Americans did not support the coup led by Mr. Doe. Some facts in the 1980 coup are still cloudy by reports of an unknown soldier. And the reports that an unknown soldier was one of the white mercenaries who would have staged the 1980 military takeover of the state, right? According to, Calvert First Lady presidency. During the rule, Doe portrayed himself and established belief to many. He's himself, though, staged, after making the state, boom, boom, boom. 7 years, calling himself doctor. Doe announced in 89 that he was in a bachelor's degree in the University of Liberia. Relations to the United States, right? Boom. New constitution, right? Civil war, right? After forming allies of Doe crossing into Liberia, right? Boom, waged a guerrilla war against Doe. Taylor held out a jail in the United States where he was awaiting execution to Liberia, right? Embezzlement. The conflict quickly fled to full-fledged civil war. By 1990, the Liberian was controlled by rebel factions. Why the hell is it not saying, how he was killed? Right, the British member, church, yeah, they removed all of it, man. They removed all of it. They went in and they won't let you know that this was all over, Freemasonry. They went inside there and removed these organizations because they were practicing Freemasonry. All right, so I'm gonna just go into himself, right? We gonna go into him, all right? Go on real quick. Prince Johnson. Let's see, let's put Freemasonry and the practice. Here we go. Now it says right here, I'm looking at the execution. It says the experience like 1990 years or forever was the Sunday to cry for justice. Screaming out something about reading the Bible. Execution, National John Secretary, John. Let's see. I'm trying to see if it's. I didn't read this article. I'm just going outside of where I would normally go when they went in there and did a quick cover up. You know what I'm saying? Speculative. Okay. Here we go. Masonic Order of Liberia. Right. So let's. All right. So we're gonna pull this up. All right. As always, this is why I love being able to go to many, many sources to get some. It's not hard. You know what I mean? To just go, okay. You know what I mean? This is not a secure site, so I don't want to go on this one. All right, let's go into. Oh, this needs to be translated. Oppose. Let me see. See, it says was following the meeting of Manova 89 when Freemasonry was formally reinstituted by President Doe, was subsequently initiated, and Samuel Doe was murdered, right? Well, let's go into this. Let's see what they say, right? The Grand Lodge of the Republic of Liberia in the fraternal organization based on the principles of Prince Hall Freemasonry prior to 1980, its membership tended to consist of Liberians, and it was influential within the ruling True Whig Party from the founding unto the coup of Sam Doe. So it's in Wikipedia. See right there? Oh no, y'all can't see the top. But it is in Wikipedia, but for some reason, like it was kept out. Right? So in this, it goes, and was influential, right, with the Whig Party from the founding until the coup of Samuel Doe in 1980, when much of the senior leadership was killed and a new military regime banned Masonic activity in the country. Right? So, now you see, I went out, go bring it up for you. But I know it's there. I know this information is out there. Whether somebody tries to hold it from you, which I just showed you. Right? Look, you can't even go up nowhere. It's just, you know what I mean? Just kept it right there. Right? So, right? And it says among the settlers that arrived, right, in the 1822, there were 25 years later would become the Republic of Liberia, where a few Freemasons hailing from colored lodges in the United States of America that were founded by Prince Hall. Okay? So I just be wanting people to know this. That they don't be knowing what's going on. And so even if you use an example in one part of the world to make the point, just know it's there. It's nothing a person can do as long as you know the information. Masonic Order of Liberia. The Grand Lodge in the Republic of Liberia is the fundamental organization based on the principles of Prince Hall Freemasonry. I always say this to you. Prior to 1980, its membership tended to consist of Americo-Liberians. I said that before we found the page, right? It was influential within the ruling True Whig Party from the founding until the coup of Samuel Doe, right, in 1880, because when much of his senior leadership was killed in a new military regime banned Masonic activities in the country. Right? So it's telling you when they set up, they were already. So when I tell you about ADOS and their mission and how they are part of the communist movement and how all of this is connected, don't think that I'm playing. Don't think that I'm just saying it to be saying it. I showed you from Doe with the Soviet, anti-Soviet movement to this. I showed you from wanting to remove that system out of the environment, showing you that how it's set up and how it's sent to control. So that's why you can see puppet governments. And it even questions the puppet government that might be set into place then. Like, use Samuel Doe, right, to wipe out that. Yeah, he's right. We need, our people, our lodges or whatever. But then he got killed for turning around and saying that as well. He said that. He started talking boogie woogie and all of that hocus pocus stuff. Do real research. Real research. Like I told you, see how I got this? I went inside there, I found it, right? Let's go back out. Look what hold on. And I got it saved anyway. You know what I mean? But Prince Johnson War on Freemasonry. That's all you gotta say. Right? And it's gonna tell you about Prince Hall. Secret of Prince Hall Freemasonry. The execution of Michael J. Doe by General Prince Y. Johnson. Right? Just look. And don't look at it as one situation. Understand the whole system based on that information. If that makes sense. You understand? Like, based on what they were addressing, the people who they were addressing, what that system was, it'll tell you what Freemasonry is. And so when you looking into Ukraine, you're looking into Russia, and you go back and you look at Judaism, You see this shifting and causing this confusion. Especially after you get caught doing some dirty business. And these apparently might be the kind of people that you was working with. And Putin like, nah. Oh, these are the people that's doing you. This is what you. Is this a strong possibility that Putin is going against the Ukrainians because the Ukrainians are basically the foot soldier cyber war guys for the Israelis? Is Putin fighting Ukraine because of them being the foot soldiers of Israel in the NSO? Is this what this is all about? This is what you gotta ask yourself. This is what you gotta ask yourself. After everything that I present, am I right or am I wrong? Am I reaching? Am I giving you clear examples? I mean, I gotta took the time to stop and search for certain things, but the things that I'm presenting, do they stand true? I can type them in to a search engine and they will come up, not just in one location. You understand what I'm saying? Not just from some rinky-dink sites. This is from AmericanHeritage.com. This is from Global, I don't know, some shit. Masons and Formation, right? These are their sites as well as just regular sites. What's this? Just different sites. Right? So to understand what's in front of you, I'm not putting this out. They telling you. They're giving you a history. Their history is there. They showing you how they go into other places and did it. What do you mean? There's nothing I'm putting out there. They got it. Now, sure, when I use certain things as a reference, they make sure they go in there and zap it like that. Because it was, trust me, the same information that was in Wikipedia where you had to go all deep and right into. No, it was right there on it. Now it's separate. It's still there because you can't deny the information because it's associated with other things. But having it right there where you can go easily accessible and find it, nah. Now they made it where you got to click into. But it's all good. All you got to do is just search. It's in other places anyway. This is something that's known. If you know. And so if you know, you understand how they maneuver the whole world this way. Puppet governments. You say no, there's no puppet governments, then what was the whole Americo-Liberian government? That was a whole puppet government. And it was tricking people to go over there. Marcus Garvey and all of these people was in on that campaign. So yeah, I'm sorry to break it into people, they're heroes. But a lot of them was in on it, either to remove us, to keep us motherfucking, dazed, or to ship us out. So that's why you give these people who fought their credit, but then you see why they fall back into it. And so, you know what I mean? And from that, I believe that the like the what's the name, the higher ups, they wasn't even able to operate within Liberia for X amount of time. Right? I mean, as far as the what do you call it? The out in England and shit. Whatever. The point that but it matters due to the fact that that's how they are able to universally pass out, the trick knowledge. And for it to work and everybody be in accord. You know what I mean? Because you got to be up to date. You know? So I just giving you the rundown. I showed you, even in Africa. I just went over to Africa. Showed you the fight against masonry. But that's what it was. The whole coup in Liberia was the fight against Freemasonry. And that whispering, blowing on knots. You see them mention the Islam, right? You see it. One, you think you have a freedom, but it's a psychological bullying. They're bullying you into, it's like proving I can make them do something. I'm going to prove this. I'm going to keep proving to you through information, through news articles. This is just something that came up so I can always, like I said, utilize my information to bring it to you in totality. To show you as I'm saying it. So that way it won't be no confusion. I just showed you Liberia. I showed you a system that was set up under a rulership and dictator of lies. Under a system that's set up all around the world like that. That's just one system that shows you how to fight it. The only one that I can show on record that I personally know fought it. I know there was, the anti-Mason movement in America at a time, but they didn't fight it. They didn't fight it. They just closed the door of recruiting. You know what I'm saying? They didn't fight it. They fought it. So it can be fought, is what I'm saying. That's the point that I'm making. To show you it can be done. So don't think that this information that I'm giving you on who's doing it, how they doing it, matters as if you defeat it. All you gotta do is, one, leave alone TV, radio for a minute, but indulge in it only as class. Whether turn off the audio and just watch the visual, or turn off the visual and just listen to the audio. But binge it, meaning whatever you doing at that time, just go straight through and do it as a class. Now, once you get used to not being a fan and caring who's on it, then, you can analyze, the real happenings. Once you over the glitter and the glamour and the glitz, and you look around and you really study, you'll understand. Think about it. Peace.